Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode we're going to do a top 10. The topic of the top 10, Triple H matches. Now if you don't know and you've been under a rock for the past week or so, Triple H has recently officially retired from in-ring activity. Kind of something I expected. I know a lot of you probably expected as well with the heart issues he had. I would say probably the Scott Hall passing had a little bit to do with the timing as well. But either way, Scott being one of his good friends, Triple H has decided he's never going to wrestle again. At least at this point. This is wrestling, never say never. But with that, we're going to look back and we're going to look at what I think the 10 best matches of Triple H's career are. And he's someone I really enjoy. Triple H is probably in my top 10 wrestlers of all time. I always enjoyed him from the Hunter Hearst Helmsley stuff, even before when he was on WCW as basically William Regal's young boy as Paul Levesque or Terra Rising. I didn't even recognize Terra Rising until much later. So I digress. Getting a little too far down the rabbit hole with that. Let's jump right into this. Number 10. Triple H versus Kurt Angle versus The Rock from SummerSlam 2000. To me, this is the three guys. Kurt Angle had jumped right into the main event scene. I think he was I don't even think this was 2 years into his official WWE career. And he's already up there with The Rock, who's one of the all-time greats, with Triple H, who's one of the all-time greats. Of course, Kurt Angle goes on to be one of the one-time greats as well. I kind of enjoy this match. I enjoyed this match a lot. This is basically seeing where the WWE or WWF at the time was going to go for the next few years, seeing three guys that would be firmly entrenched in the main event, and they were at this point as well. But this was a really solid match. I feel like it's kind of one of those matches that people overlook a little bit, but I really enjoyed this and I thought it was awesome, hence why it's on our list at number 10. Now coming in at number 9, the first Elimination Chamber from Survivor Series 2002. You have Triple H versus Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho versus Kane versus Booker T versus Rob Van Dam. Again, 6 guys in this match. All 6 of them are definitely Hall of Fame worthy wrestlers. Some of these guys have been in the Hall of Fame multiple times. I don't believe Jericho or Kane's in the Hall of Fame yet, or Rob's in. But Jericho and Kane I don't think are in yet, but they're definitely going to be there. To me, this is kind of what set the bar. If this match would have fell flat on its face, we would have never seen it again, or would have maybe seen it a few more times, like the Inferno match we haven't seen much of, or like the Punjabi Prison match, which we haven't seen but just a few times. I think if this would have fell flat, we wouldn't have Elimination Chamber as a thing. And it kind of set the bar really high. To me, it's still my favorite of the Elimination Chamber matches. And it still holds up today. I mean, you got 6 guys, like I said, they're all Hall of Fame caliber. Of course, they're going to put on a hell of a match here. Now, coming off of that, our number 8. Triple H versus Cactus Jack from No Way Out 2000 and Hell in a Cell. If there's 2 wrestlers to me, or 3 wrestlers, that represent Hell in a Cell, it's Cactus Jack, or Mick Foley, Triple H, and The Undertaker. And Triple H, to me, no disrespect to Cactus and The Undertaker, who've had some of the most iconic moments in Hell in a Cell history, Triple H, to me, is kind of the GOAT of Hell in a Cell. He's a guy that consistently put on great matches in more Hell in a Cells than the other 2. Yes, they set the bar. Yes, they're both amazing. But this is one of the situations where his body of work and how many Hell in a Cells he was in, he kind of made it into his match. This is an awesome match. That 2000 run where Mick retired kind of put some really great matches, helped elevate Triple H even further than where he was. Cactus Jack or Mick Foley seemed to elevate Triple H every step of the way. Every time Triple H would take a step up, he would be there with Mick Foley, and Foley would help him get to that next level. And then they would step up again, and Foley would help him get to another level. So to me, this is one of those examples of two great wrestlers putting on just a fantastic match. Now coming from that, our number 7, from SummerSlam 1998, Triple H versus The Rock in a ladder match for the Intercontinental title. To me, this was a foreshadowing of what was to come. I believe, and I might be wrong on this, the main event was Austin versus Undertaker. But you've seen this match on the undercard. And these guys were both already had been building since '96, to a point where this, to me, was their real coming out party, where they went from just guys, and they were already leading their factions. They were already in lead of DX and the Nation. But this is where I think, and to me personally, you really seen it go from they were good guys, good wrestlers, great gimmicks, to, oh, these guys could main event this show. These guys are going to be the guys that main event for the next 10 to 15 years. Which, in that case, it was absolutely 100% right. You got two of the biggest superstars of all time coming into that match or coming out of that match looking way better than they did even before that match. It's a ladder match that not a lot of people talk about as being on the list of great ladder matches, but to me, I've always enjoyed it, and I always wondered why no one really brings this match up a lot, but I could be different. Anyway, really great match, and like I said, you could see the greatness really coming into its final form here. Now coming from that, our number 6. Triple H versus John Cena versus Shawn Michaels from Survivor Series 2004. Or I'm sorry, 2009. Man, I gotta check my writing. This was a really good show, and I'm gonna put it there if I wrote that wrong. I believe it was 09. Anywho. This was a really good showing again. I think one of Triple H's big pluses or big advantages was when you put him in these multiple man matches, the Elimination Chamber, the triple threat I mentioned earlier versus Angle and The Rock. He always seemed to find a way to make it more than just your average triple threat. A lot of times triple threats is one-on-one and let's take a rest. One-on-one, let's take a rest. One-on-one, someone takes a rest. Where Triple H made it feel different. You always kind of wondered, are him and Shawn Michaels going to partner up against Cena? Is he going to double-cross Shawn? Are him and Cena going to turn double-cross or work against HBK? Is Shawn going to work with Cena? And the storytelling he would do in these three-way matches are kind of what makes these multiple man matches and what made them very good to me, in my opinion. I think, again, he's a master of his craft when it came to these situations where he can move the chess pieces around and there's multiple moving parts. He can make a very coherent storyline where others have fallen on their face, to put it bluntly, when they have these kind of opportunities. Now coming from that, our number 5. Triple H versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, No Way Out 2001. This is the 3 Stages of Hell match, and man, it really was a violent match. And again, you got two of the guys that are two of the mainstays of the Attitude Era, Triple H and Steve Austin. I heard there's a lot of talk about revisionist history in the Attitude Era, that Triple H wasn't as important as he's made to look by the WWE. I rebuff that. I lived through the Attitude Era. I watched the Attitude Era live as it was happening. And Triple H was, yeah, he wasn't Steve Austin. He wasn't The Rock. But you're selling him short if you think he wasn't a major cog in the Attitude Era. You're selling him short if you think his contributions, whether it be with DX or the corporation or whatever he did, were not a major influence during that time frame. Anyone that kind of poo-poos him and kind of says, yeah, he wasn't as big as they say he is, you're lying to yourself. He's just as big as guys like Mick Foley, who's my favorite wrestler of all time. He's just as important as guys like Kane, as Kurt Angle was, even The Undertaker. He's right up there with everybody in that era. And this is, to me, again, him versus Steve Austin, two of the guys that made the Attitude Era must-watch TV, made WWE Raw at the time a must-watch television show, putting on an absolute banger of a match it's just violent for the sense of being violent, kind of like what you're seeing now with Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson doing, is kind of what they were doing here and what they were going to do, I believe, with the two-man power trip. Coming off of that, we're going to go into our number 4, Triple H versus The Undertaker from WrestleMania 27, the No Holds Barred match. Again, WrestleMania 27 is one of the WrestleManias people dislike, mainly because of the main event between The Miz and John Cena was basically just used to hype up the WrestleMania 28 main event. So a lot of people dislike WrestleMania 27. There's other reasons on the card. But to me, this was a standout match. And I remember at the time, I really thought that Triple H is possibly the person that's going to beat the streak. And the way they played the match, and with Undertaker being carried out at the end, and spoiler, if you don't know that Undertaker had his streak to WrestleMania 30, I'm sorry. But you probably do if you're watching this video. With the way that Undertaker had to be carried to the back at the end of this, kind of made you feel like the threat from Triple H was more real than any other threat that he's had up until that point. So to me, even going into this, I thought Triple H was going to be a real threat to the streak, and they put on a hell of a match. Undertaker always steps up at WrestleMania. He always puts on his best performance at WrestleMania. Triple H as well. To me, it was just awesome. And I forgot to mention, when I talked about the spoilers here, I'm not saying the finish of most of these matches, because if you haven't seen some of these, or all of these, if you're just coming here because you've heard Triple H's name, you're a newer fan, you want to see what matches you should go look out, I'm trying to leave the spoilers out on purpose, so if someone debuts or causes a run-in, I'm not really going to talk about it here, because if you're a newer fan that wants to go back and look at that, I want you to go and seek these out. And these are all available on the Peacock Network. They're all WWE matches, so I digress. Coming off of that, our number 3, another 3-way match, Triple H versus Shawn Michaels versus Chris Benoit from WrestleMania 20. And yes, I'm going to address it because I have to every time I bring up his name in the videos. I definitely understand what he did was terrible. I definitely believe that he's a piece of shit and he should rot in hell for murdering his wife and child and committing suicide. That being said, Chris Benoit was one of the best wrestlers of his generation and one of the best wrestlers in the ring of all time. To me, and I know a lot of people can't, and if you can't, I have no bad feeling for you. I understand. If you can't watch a Chris Benoit match, I get it. To me, I could separate the two. I do feel weird watching them. I definitely do. But I could still enjoy it because, one, you have at least one other person in the match who you can enjoy what they're doing. And two, yeah, even though he did it, through history, there's people in all forms of art that have done terrible things. people like Phil Spector's murdered a person, and I love all the music he produced. R. Kelly, with everything he did, I could still, if you put on Bump and Grind, I'm going to listen to it because it's an amazing song. Chris Benoit had amazing matches. I hate to say it. I really do. And this WrestleMania was based around Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero ascending to the top. And this is one of the greatest matches in Triple H's career. And probably if I made a list of Shawn Michaels or Chris Benoit's, theirs too. This was just a great match. It was fantastic. Unfortunately, like I said, it does include him. But I have to be honest and I have to be objective when I do these. So that's why it's on here. And again, I get it if you feel differently. If you are among the WWE, like the WWE does, and don't want to ever give him any respect for anything he's done, totally get that. Makes perfect sense to me. Coming from that, a less controversial match, number 2. Triple H versus Cactus Jack from the Royal Rumble 2000 in a street fight. I mentioned his match with Cactus a little bit earlier when I talked about him in the Hell in a Cell match from 2000. This to me was the better of the two. A lot of people invert them. A lot of people think the Hell in a Cell's better. I enjoyed this match. I thought this was a better match. I thought this was more fun. This kind of felt more in Cactus Jack and Triple H's element. This felt more of a contest where they really got to open themselves and there were no expectations on what they should do in the match, so they got to do what they wanted to do. I really enjoyed this match. It's probably one of my favorite Cactus Jack Mick Foley matches as well. Just an awesome match, and I think it's one, again, there's a couple of these on here that I think are really underrated, and if you haven't watched them, definitely go back and check them out. Now, before we get into our number 1, we do a little thing here called the best of the rest, basically for things that were considered for the list, but didn't quite make it. First up, we have Triple H versus The Rock from Judgment Day 2000 in an Iron Man match being refereed by the commissioner at the time, Shawn Michaels. Again, this is another thing with the moving parts. I thought he did awesome in these matches where you had moving parts, Shawn Michaels being the moving parts. As you can see, where Shawn Michaels and The Rock have come up a few different times here. 2 of his absolute best feuds that he's had through his entire career. So you get the 3 having involvement here. I thought this was awesome. I thought it was a great match. I really enjoyed it. Just didn't quite make the list. Next up on our best of the rest, Triple H versus Chris Jericho from Fully Loaded 2000 in a last man standing match. Again, this is another very, very good match, very awesome match. I think one of the early matches of Chris Jericho's WWE career where he really got to show who he was and how good he really was, and where we would see him go for the next 20 years now. I mean, he's still performing at a pretty high level right now as this video is being recorded. Now, if you're watching this in like 2037 and Chris Jericho has been retired for 10 years, I understand. But as of right now in 2022, he's still putting on great wrestling matches at a pretty high level. Now, before we get into our number 1, let's make sure you smash that like button, hit the share button. If you're not subscribed and you like what you're seeing here, please hit the subscribe button and leave us a comment here if you think I put someone up too high, something down too low. Leave us some other matches. If there's other matches of Triple H's that you enjoy, put them down in the comments. Maybe something I overlooked. Maybe something you would recommend to other people. Put it down there. Down where? Down there. Had to do that for Triple H. Anyway, our number 1 top 10 Triple H match. Triple H versus Undertaker, Hell in a Cell, WrestleMania 28, the end of the era match. There's a lot of reasons this is number one. This was the first WrestleMania I was able to attend live. This was the best match I've ever seen live. This is a match that had a lot of emotion in it. Again, Shawn Michaels is a referee here. There's a lot of history between Triple H and Undertaker. There's a lot of history between Triple H and Shawn Michaels. There's a lot of history between Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. This was three guys, basically three cowboys, riding off into the sunset. And if this would have ended all three of their careers, this would have been a perfect ending. I know, I don't hate how any of their careers have ended. You have the right to end your career however you like to. But coming off of what we've seen at WrestleMania 27 and how far Triple H pushed The Undertaker, this again felt like he may lose the streak. We're in Hell in a Cell. Shawn Michaels is an X Factor. Is he going to help Triple H? Is he going to be fair and unbiased? Is he going to turn on Triple H? Him and Triple H have had a contentious friendship where they've turned on each other multiple times. All that to me made it a fantastic match. Again, like I said, the greatest match I've seen live, and one of the greatest matches, I think, in the history of WrestleMania, and to me, Triple H's best match. With all that being said, again, let me know what you think down in the comments. Like, comment, share, all that good stuff. Subscribe if you haven't. And if you watched this long, I know you liked this video. If you watched all the way to the end, throw me the game down in the comments just to let me know that you're watching to the end of the video. With all that being said, my name is George Coles, and this has been another Heel Heat Top 10.